Kritik, you can go with your first impressions. Sorry, we have to repeat again.
Yeah, no problem.
You
For
guys
my
don't have
first,
to repeat if you don't want to. Completely open.
no, we'll
Your
just
choice.
wrap it up in a minute. It's not a big deal. We
And when you
already
guys are
started.
done, just drop me a message and I'll come in and just read. Okay.
Sure.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye. Um, yeah, with regards to my first impressions, I thought it was a great film, and because of the difficulty of the situation the characters are in, and it was a little bit difficult at times to watch it, to just see the characters, and but it was still a very good experience. And what's your first impression, Mohammed?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. Then I felt a gratitude towards Parallel Cinema Club because they are bringing up so educative means films which really talks on the themes, not as commercial movies. I really love this movie, how it follows a life of a simple human. How can a human discovers the writing of poems? It's beautifully captured in the movie. It follows the life of that elderly lady, 66 years old. Uh, it's really, and that I really loved her liveliness, so active at that age too, like a child. She is talking to everyone. I really loved that part, and yeah, my first impression will be I really loved it.
Hmm. So, what do you think was the main ideas or themes that were running in this?
Yeah, I think as I told, what director is trying to say is that how a person really starts writing, you know, poem or any form of art, putting down on a paper on or translating his thought into words. It really taught me a lot of things that looking at that woman, because I myself I am struggling to write anything, a play or a screenplay, and whenever I sit, that struggle, where do we begin? Where do we find this subject to begin with? What should be my first word of my first sentence of my first paragraph? It really bothers. It's really difficult when you are set to just write down any words or any sentence. It's really difficult. Yeah, I never tried writing, but I whenever I think that okay, I should write something, then it hits us really in our on our intellect that uh, buddy, where what you are going to write, what will be your subject? Okay, it's really difficult. People say go to forest, go to landscape, landscape of mountains. I did it near this Bannargata, and in the movie also she is traveling to different parts. Near the bridge she is standing, just feeling that vibe of air, that water, sound of water under the bridge. What she did, what she is doing, actually I tried doing that, and even after that too I wasn't able to produce anything. It was a futile endeavor, just uh, crazy things. But really that lady, I was able to connect with her because I myself have struggled to produce any form of art, and till now I haven't. I just managed to just write down two or three sentence like quotes. Apart from that, no, I have never not yet got that promotion in my thought of writing down.
As very great hearing such candid thoughts, and but you are so we see the main character, the old lady. She goes through a struggle to write something. And what do you think finally made her get that one poem out of her?
Yeah, that's the real part I really discovered. Actually, after watching a movie, I took a walk to think about it, and really, I haven't means I wasn't able to define the reason behind her means how she was able to at the end part. She was able to sit down on a chair and just note down. Here come then I just now realized just few minutes back that throughout the movie she's struggling like a child to produce something to write a poem, and every time she's asking everyone around her that uh, poetry is poem writing poem is so difficult, and we can see her desperation of doing that, but at the end she succeeds. But my question was why she was able to succeed in producing a poem at the end. I felt that a real art, the real genuine artist can produce something only if he is content with his own self, with his thoughts, with his feelings, principles. When you have means you when you have war with your own thoughts and feelings, I think you will never be able to justify whatever you write. Here, the woman was trying to go against the against her principle that she knew that her grandson was one of uh, uh, the what to say the person who raped the girl, but still she was trying to save her grandson, and clearly she knew that this is wrong. She should reprimand that grandson. She should inform the police. That is what she was. We could see that she's a uh, lady of principles. I means we could see that in between the movie also. But at the end, she succeeded because I think she was the one who informed the police, that detective, that yes, yes, one of the what was it, the who committed the rape uh, was one of her grandson, and the detective takes him, the grandson, and later on she sits and writes down. That part I really that really opened my mind that when you what to say you be when you are true to your feelings, true to your principles, only then can you connect to your inner self, and that flow you gain, that flow of writing, the flow of talking, the flow of thought process only comes, I think, when you negotiate with your own self. uh, but here also I had also that doubt that there are a lot of politicians who talk a lot of flattery words, lot of rubbish thing, uh, but they succeed. They have that flow of words, flow of I don't know, but here I feel that a normal person like her and normal person like us all, oh, we can only start writing anything of importance if we are true to our feelings.
I think that point is very interesting, and before you mentioned it, I actually did not believe that she was the one who told the police about her grandson, because I truly believe that I believe that she was, after so much struggle, the struggle she undertook in order to save her grandson, she wouldn't, just let it go. But I think you have really convinced me that, maybe she had to ne- negotiate with herself and, find a solution.
Yeah, even she doesn't protest the police, the detective. No, they take her, and she's silent. And even after that, she plays with the detective too. Uh, then I got, yeah, she was the one who informed. That detective and that lady met at the club, near the club, and that detective asks that lady, that big sister. Then it flashed. Yeah, she might have revealed the thoughts which she was struggling. Really, she was struggling with those burden of crime in her heart. Really, it was really beautifully. shown and conveyed in the movie.
Yeah, so the poem also is called Agnes Song. Uh, and I thought although half the poem is recited by her, I it seems like the entire poem is like from Agnes herself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that lady start writing from the perspective of that girl, or that girl who have committed suicide. What were her thoughts before jumping off the bridge? It really conveyed and really loved. And the first few seconds the lady recites the poem, and later on the girl, that teenager, recites the poem. It's from her. Means she was able to, what to say, she considered herself in the place of, or she put herself in the shoes of that girl who committed the suicide, and she started writing, and that was really a good ending, how to put it. It's really nicely put. At the end, it conveyed the real theme.
Yeah, it was really well executed. One thing that was running on my mind after you said it was you mentioned that it's writing can be done like after these internal struggles are solved. I mean, maybe not internal struggles are solved, but maybe if only when your conscience is relieved. But don't you think writing or creating itself can be about the struggle, or maybe even trying to figure out the struggle?
Yeah, I think many people do that. Writing, many people have this diaries thing, which where they open up their self to a book which they can't open to any person in this world. Uh, yeah, people do that. But what I felt with this lady is, it is about the crime. It's not a simple thing. A girl has been means girl has means there is a murder, a innocent life has been taken, so it's not a small thing that she will just note down in a paper. And uh, yeah, even lot of people, suppose I think that, okay, if I had a son and he commits some heinous crime, definitely I'll be uh, what to say, disturbed for his safety. uh, and while thinking about his safety, I'll be going against my principles, against my morals, what I have learned through life, what it is meant to feel pain, what is meant to lose a child. All those, no, it contradicts with my understanding, and that will impede, that will act as a barrier to my to what to say, touch to my real core for retrieving that feeling. That was what I felt.
Mm.
And I wanted to talk about this camera work. I really, there are good images captured very beautifully. It's slow paced. uh, it, yeah, it demanded, it was focusing on that lady, but I felt that moving camera, no, I don't know why, but I'm uncomfortable with the moving camera. Lot of moving, it disturbs me. I don't know why, but did you feel the same, Kritik?
You mean the small movements that happen, right, constantly?
Yeah, the camera is moving, that whenever some frame, when the shot has been taken, the camera is moving. I don't
Hmm.
know, but it is one form of capturing the image, but it doesn't work for me. I like some stable camera focusing. uh, yeah, that part about the movie I felt was not agreeing with my taste.
I was, I don't know. I guess I'm the opposite. I thought it was very well suited to this thing, but I definitely do understand where you come from. Sometimes it is too much.
Mhm. It may be because just yesterday I watched the portrait of a lady on a fire. Just finished
Hmm.
watching yesterday, so that movie is very difficult. I think that I was in the, what to say, inertia of that movie, so I was expecting the same year. Yeah, it may be that reason. Uh, uh, then what are other things about the movie? This club, I really love this thing called club, where you means where like-minded people are gathered, and that's really good thing. And in the movie it is shown, it's really good to have those people having a club, sharing poetry. I was just thinking, why not in India? If people start having those club, I think people will be more matured, less crime will be followed in our nation. People, we should aspire to higher intellectual, what to say, intellectual taste, uh, which our in India I think they lack library clubs. I think there are in cities, but in rural area, other parts of India, I don't find them, and it's really saddening. If only we had those culture of reading, culture of sharing intellectual ideas, feelings. It will do great good to our nation too. That is what I felt wow, during watching this movie.
Hmm. We all would love that. I mean, if everyone could just, be themselves and, express themselves in such a way, it really solves internal problems. And if you can solve that, uh, that's a huge step forward.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about people, how, I mean, maybe, we should be more involved in this. I was thinking, even though it's just a community center kind of cultural center kind of poetry class, or even if it's just the local poetry club, it was not looking down upon anyone, even though the guy was joking around saying dirty jokes. It did give them a good amount of respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't offended by her words.
No, I meant like from the film did not insult people for, doing this kind of poetry or being, they didn't call out anyone for being shallow.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Means that detective was not trying to pretend. He was trying to be natural and more, what to say, himself. And people respected. Even the movie respected.
And hello, VN. Who is VN?
This is Vishal.
Oh, hi Vishal.
Hi, hi guys. Sorry to be late.
Hello, Vishal.
I was very excited. I was very excited about listening to what everyone felt about the film, because me and Vivek both really wanted this film, everyone to watch this film.
I really thank you, Vivek, for including this movie. I really loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it, uh, it was quite a stunning experience. I am actually a very big fan of Lee Chang-dong, the director, and this idea about this police inspector that you guys were discussing, if you see all his films, you will see this aspect wherein um, he's actually he doesn't really get into value judgment.
Mhm.
So, it's a good point that you guys brought up, because when I saw the film for the first time, I was also wondering what is uh, what is the purpose of this man and the way he's brought in into the film. So it's still a question that I've been wondering about. It is a good observation. But if you see all his films, you will see this, except for his first film, which was a metaphor of. Uh, uh, so basically, I don't know. You have. I'm sure you guys have seen Memento, right? Christopher Nolan's Memento.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is considered as the first film in rewind, right? So this actually it is not. Lee Chang Dong was the first person to make a film in rewind. Reverse, sorry.
Mhm.
And that is basically traveling to different. It's not a time travel film, but this character who travels through. You go from his present day situation and you move on to the times. You move into the past. and it was more of commentary on South Korea was under martial law, so it was a commentary on law. But apart from that, he's been very. It's very interesting how he doesn't actually make value judgments and leaves it upon you. Probably he does, but it's not into your face. Because if you see a film like I don't know if you guys have seen Burning, it was a 2018 film. It was a mystery movie, but it doesn't give you any answers. But uh, if if you want to follow, it's like this is it's up to you what storyline you follow. I'm going to give you a lot of storylines. Follow whichever you want. So it's a very interestingly structured film, and maybe he's making value judgments. I don't know. There is no definitive answer to that, but it's very so. This point that you guys brought up, it's there in his films. So it's a good observation actually. I think it would help you guys if you watch his other films. It would definitely it would be something that you guys would notice.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to be condescending, and I was kind of glad he wasn't condescending to regular normal people trying to do
No,
poetry.
no, no, no. So if you see um, this, so the lady works at someone's house, right? Who's
Yeah.
physically who's old, I guess. So he has some sort of paralysis, and he made a film in 2000, I think in 2001 or 4, I don't remember. It's I think called OSS, and the way he's portrayed the lead actors in this film, the lead characters in this film are handicapped people, differently abled people, and it's quite stunning what he's been able to do with them, and he portrays them with such care without being patronizing, because it's easy to make films on people who are differently abled, sugarcoating everything. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, but there is such love, such affection for these characters, and the climax is, I mean, it's never like it stayed with me. I actually would recommend watching all of Lee Chang-dong's films. Though I have not seen his first film, but I would recommend watching all of his films. He's a master. He's a modern master. There is no doubt. In fact, Poetry is the film that I saw recently. I was waiting to watch it for a long time, and I had to stop the film. It had such an effect on me. I had to stop the film when I realized what is the central conflict of the film, and it did something to me. It's quite stunning.
Um, on the same topic, I have this question. If anybody can pour in, that I have heard that some of the books are banned, like Lolita, like The Midnight Children by Salman Rushdie, and even this book, God of Small Things. I think Vivek knows these books.
God of
What?
Small Things is not banned in India.
Not banned. Okay, sorry. Lolita, and I think
Is Lolita banned in India?
No. I don't think book banning in India is that this thing, unless
no,
it is
in
the.
some countries.
No, books. I don't know about Midnight Children. So I think Midnight Children is not banned because I bought Midnight Children in India. Satanic Verses is banned.
Yeah, that's banned.
Oh, okay, yes. Sorry. Same author, Salman
Correct,
Rushdie.
correct,
Sorry.
correct.
So my
Lolita,
question was, yeah, go ahead, Samartha.
so this is Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita, right? So if it's that one, I don't think it's banned. It's pretty much available.
I would be surprised if Lolita is banned in India.
It's not banned. I definitely have seen it in stores.
Means it has some very
No, there are a lot of Indian, I mean, lot of books that get banned in India because it's surprising. A, freedom of speech. B, Satanic Verses is not banned in a country like Turkey, which is an Islamic nation. So it's very surprising that it is banned in India.
I mean, in India, books are only banned if there's like a proper political reason. Nowadays, I don't think there's any kind of
No,
moral
not
issue behind it.
nowadays. If you actually go back to book banning, history of book banning in India, you'll be quite surprised the amount of books that have been banned, and actually it's across religions. Now
I
it is
think that was just the attitude of the government back then, but
no,
nowadays
no,
it's
no.
not
It's
that
not
bad.
that. Even in pre-independence India, books have been banned. That's what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
That it's you rightly pointed it out that it's all about it's a political thing. There's nothing regarding. I mean, in terms of quality of the books or the commentary that these books are doing, there's nothing there. It's all politics. It's appeasement on some level. That's all it is. Sorry,
Yeah,
Mohammed, you are trying to
Vivek,
say something.
yeah, sorry. I was telling that value judgment. The director is not trying to judge that male detective where he's making poetry, but he's doing out of his nature. It is his nature of sharing those things. The same thing was that lot of artists, their art is been banned only because it doesn't fit into their narrative in a culture, in a setup. So I
Hmm.
was just thinking, how good is means how should we ban any literature? Should we? What should be our approach to any person's writing?
So I don't know whether this would answer the question, but uh, if anybody, I don't remember the app. I was using a dating app, and there are a few questions that they ask you to gauge your personality, and if it matches with the other person, then there's some sort of a match. I think it was OK Cupid, and it says, "Are you okay with burning of books or burning the flag?" That's the question that they ask. So. Uh, so it's all that there is a reason why you call something as freedom of speech. Freedom of speech also involves the freedom to offend people, because if you're not offending people, then obviously you don't need freedom of speech, right? Why do you need to do something? Because it might impinge on something, so it will be an infringement on something. So freedom of speech, it means that you might offend someone, and the other person has recourse to law. He can go and approach the courts. But uh, as we've already discussed, it's a very political thing, and uh, I I personally don't see any sense in banning anything. So it makes absolutely no sense to me, and it is not coming from the point of view of an artist. If you just if you if you peel this idea, sorry, if you peel this idea of banning something because if it offends people, it will not stand. And uh, there is other aspect, uh, whether this literature is good enough or not. It's bad. It might be bad, and it might offend people. So being bad is all right. Something cannot be banned because it was not good enough. I don't know whether I'm making sense. So for example, AIB did this they did something called, I don't remember, they did something for with who's this guy, Karan Johar, and there was a lot of there were a lot of brouhaha regarding that whole event. And the, there were people saying, "Oh, look at the comedy! It is such cringe comedy. It affects our culture. Let's ban it." So the only problem with that event was that, let's say, the jokes were not good, but that's not a reason to ban something. And especially if the jokes are not good, if something is not good, then it should definitely not affect your culture or your god. So. And normal people, frankly, you read something, you get offended by it. You see something, you get offended by it. You leave it aside. surprisingly, it's always the politicians or political minded people who seem to take offense to things. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Intolerance should never be tolerated.
exactly. And see, I might be a biased person because I'm an artist or I want to be an artist. So I don't believe in any sort of bans. So I don't believe in any sort of suppressing of speech or thoughts. Everyone has a space and everyone should be given a space. But especially in India, it's a great democracy, there is no doubt about it, but we have some issues. You go to America, um, it's America. I find America to be very. I find them that it's the most cruelest country in the world. But the freedom of speech that it gives is quite stunning. I mean, it is quite stunning. So, uh, whether or not whether or not books should be banned, I don't believe they should be. But I want to know, okay, in what context with the film are we discussing this question?
Actually, I had this means whenever I am with my colleagues in school in any place, I always restrict myself to certain topic. I don't want to. Suppose there is a joke, then I have to frame my jokes particular to suit those people so that they are not offended. There, what is happening is I'm trying to be artificial rather than natural in front of them. But in the movie, uh, the man is natural. He speaks what he really feels, and he's making poetry out of his thoughts, real thoughts, natural thoughts. And I really love that one. Yeah.
But again, if you look at it, when you think about it, it is only her who um, who is offended by it. Others are not offended by it. Others might think it's not good poetry, but they don't take offense to it. And it's when there is this scene when everyone is drinking after the poetry session. So you look at his behavior, the way he's been set up, wherein he's doing cringe poetry. So you feel like if she complains, there is probably a clash that is going to happen between them. But there is absolutely no clash that happens between them. He is very respectful towards her. So clearly he probably does not know. Maybe his sense of etiquette is different from these people. Maybe there is a class statement over there. Maybe he comes from a world where this language is all right. Uh, you can talk about something like this without censoring yourself. Because when he offers her a drink, he's very respectful towards her. And if you look at his reaction later on when he's playing badminton with her, he's empathizing with her. He doesn't say anything. I mean, that's also great direction. He doesn't say anything. He clearly understands what's happening here. So it's a beautifully rounded character actually. Without doing a lot, he does so many things with the character. I'm very happy that we are talking about this character because it's easy to talk about the lead character, But this is because I found it very interesting how this character was portrayed in the film. I did not have all the answers. Actually, I am figuring it out right now when I started listening to you guys. So it is a very interesting character, very very much so. What did you guys think about what was fascinating to you guys in this film? Like, what is this film about? What did it? I'm sorry if I missed it. If you've already had the discussion, so let's leave it off. But what was the film to you? Like, what was the most fascinating thing about the film to you guys?
Actually, we discussed that at the earlier part, but still,
So if you guys already did it, it's all right. So let me say it because let's not waste time. If you've already done that discussion. What is the film about? So I mean, it's poetry. There is that aspect. What I found quite fascinating, and as I said, I had to stop the film when I realized what's actually happening was this person who's uh, losing her memory, and in the twilight of her life, she decides to she can't remember words. She's having a tough time to figure out words, and she decides to do poetry. It took my breath away when I realized this is what's happening in the film. It it I can't put it in words actually, as in the film is about words, but I can't put it in words. It made I stopped the film. I was like, wow. Apart from what else is happening, everything is quite beautifully done. But this starting point of the film was breathtaking, and I actually decided then and there that I'm going to push for poetry in the curation. But the film was so good, I didn't have to push for it actually. So yeah, that was something which it affected me, because that conflict is it's not something that you see every day. Yeah.
Actually, I just a second.
As a side thing, I was thinking, like, she was trying to find something beautiful and meaningful to her, even though in all this, pain and struggle she's going through. And I think that ties into why she was offended with the dirty jokes, because she was, she,
True.
for her, poetry is something beautiful or something. Maybe it's because that's what she truly believes, or maybe that's because she's internalized what the teacher has said. But and that idea that poetry can also be dirty or something kind of offends her.
It's a great observation. I think that makes a lot of sense. When
I,
I
I
saw
was also thinking
True,
about
true.
the young provocative poet, and I couldn't find any.
sorry, I can't hear you. The young what?
The provocative poet who comes in with the teacher guy at the club.
Ha 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 ha. Ha.
I couldn't find any thing behind it, but that thing is for some reason stuck in my head.
Okay.
Maybe, I mean, I know it's just my opinion. Maybe I'm pulling. What do you say? I'm reaching too far. Maybe it was a little bit condescending towards him.
Okay.
Yeah, that point that art can also be dirty. Really, it didn't. I didn't. This
But
point I didn't.
Mohammed, art doesn't have to be dirty, right? Art is art. Dirty is up
Yeah,
to your
yeah. It
perception.
is us who
Whether it is
define. We
dirty,
try to fit
beautiful.
it in our
Because you look at
understanding.
you look at a naked body, it depends upon you whether you find it offending or you find it beautiful. You know. So as they say, somebody's porn is somebody's art. So
Yeah, actually, I had this question, Vivek, that when we are adolescent, no, when we look at a naked body,
huh.
that sexual thoughts are at our peak, at their peak. But once we cross that age, that hormones get settled. Now when we see a body, it doesn't feel like we don't get that what to say, sexual urges, anything. But I think,
I don't think I agree with that thought, but I also think it's a very personal thing, and it also depends on your life experience.
yeah, true, true.
That's
Yeah,
all.
artist has to what to say, has to go through that stages of life before he discovers the true beauty in anything.
I,
There is philosophical beauty, there is
I
material
was
beauty.
wondering. I was also wondering about when I was seeing the film. I was wondering about the process of what is art and how do you achieve artistry. You know, is it just is it only is it all right just talking about aesthetics, or is it also important to be the right kind of person? Because it's when you look at what happens in the film, she creates the poetry and she makes sure that her grandson is punished, which means that she's also taking a stand that this is not the right thing. So, is it can there be an artist without a moral standing? I think I don't know whether that was a question, but it did resonate with me. What does she become? Does she become an artist when she writes the poetry, or does she become an artist when she's written poetry and did the right thing? Uh, Again, without doing any sort of, because I don't know, I don't have enough life experience to make that sort of a comment. I don't believe you have to have a political stand, but can there be an artist without a moral standing is a very interesting question to have. Though she does not set out to be an artist, she just wants to write poetry. But she's forced to take a stand, right? Not forced to. Actually, she's not forced to. But she does take a stand. And it's a valid question for every artist. I mean, even Bob Dylan couldn't get away from it. One of the great artists of our times, he couldn't get away from that question. He wanted to change the world. So, I feel it's a valid question to ponder upon. I'm not really sure how. I don't know whether the director asks that question, but when I see the film, I think it's a very valid question to ponder on.
True. Actually, I am more interested in the artist than the art. Whenever I read a book, I make sure that study to go through the biography of the author. Like Kishore Kumar, I somewhere I read that he had three wives. Uh, that really struck me. That how can a person with so low morals of fidelity, how can
Mohammed,
he?
sorry to cut you off, but why would you think that he has three wives? That means he has low morals.
No. Earlier, I was thinking this. I had this thought. I was just even Dara Bendre.
So
He
I have
used
a
to visit.
question. Let's say he loves three women at one time. So would you say that he has loose morals?
As you are saying, no. I am young. I don't know on those lines.
Have you heard about polyamory?
No.
I think you should read up about it. I think you will find it interesting.
Actually, the same question always I have this. A person should be moral, just, and principalistic to produce any kind of art or any kind of anything in this world. So long lasting.
You have to. You can't create anything without vision. And when you have vision, that means you have crystallized something.
That is also true,
So when
Vishal.
you
But
crystallize
we
something,
are
that
brought
means
up.
when
Yeah.
you crystallize something, that means you have a point of view. Whether or not it is the right side of what you feel is moral is a different argument, because it will differ from person to person. But if you can only when you call something great, it is because you feel that this work of art has been crystallized in a way that you could not.
Hmm.
So only then why do normal Bollywood films or Hollywood films don't leave an impression on you? It's because they're not really doing anything. You look at sorry, I mean there might be Avengers fans who listening to this podcast, but you look at what is at stake. The future of the world is at stake. But do you ever feel it? You don't ever feel it, right? So uh, so clearly it's just they're going through the motions. But when you see a piece of art, and it can be part of mainstream film cinema also, when you see a piece of art, there is a way things are done, something is created. So you can't create something out of the blue. So what I'm trying to also say is, I think because you are also trying to write things, I think you it's not enough to know the techniques. You should be able to see, and seeing cannot be taught by anyone. You have to be able to see things which others cannot, and that's a fact. Which luckily this is not that I can see, but this is a lesson that I learned quite early in my life. So, shit, man, I totally lost track of what we were talking about.
No,
I'm,
no, we were focusing on the moral life of a artist.
so what I'm saying is, don't put too much. It's very interesting. Even I do it. But like if I listen to a musician, for example, if a new musician, I try to read up about him because it gives you an insight in to his music. For example, like I was very influenced by Jim Morrison, but I think you also should not give it too much importance because end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. You know, it's you can be. Uh, I met Do you guys know Gulshan Devaya? We have met Gulshan Devaya, and he portrays the most negative people on screen, reprehensible people on screen. But when you meet him in real life, he's like a very soft person. So it's don't put too much emphasis on. It does come from what kind of person you are, but the thing is, the things that you read are usually uh, a version of what that person is. So what I'm saying is, if you meet somebody in real life, then probably you can make a clear idea of it. But don't push too much emphasis. I'm not saying don't read up about people. It's very interesting and you should do it. But I'm saying that don't be too affected by it. It's my advice, okay? I mean, I'm not saying that you have to follow it. I'm just saying. I used to do it a lot, and then I came to this conclusion. That's why I can tell you it's not really the perfect way to approach things.
Mhm.
Sorry, I did not want to offend you or say that you're wrong.
It's fine. We are sharing. That's all. I had the same question about Guru Dutt too, because his films when I watched, it was really what to say. It touched my psyche in a different way. His three
Correct.
movies, best three movies. So I intensely researched about his life, what was going inside his head. Yeah, I think we
So there
shouldn't.
was, I think we discussed this. There was, I also met someone who knew him, who was friends with him, and he told me that the only thing that he used to talk about was Vaida Rahman. So he was clearly affected by Vaida Rahman and her not being part of his life, and that is there. You. So, for example, you look at Wonka Wai's films. There is absolutely no way that man was not heartbroken because the way he portrays longing in his films cannot just happen out of the blue. There, he has to have had some sort of longing in his life. Whether or not it was unrequited love, I do not know. But there has to be some sort of longing in his life to do the kind of things that he's able to pull off on screen. It cannot happen randomly. Like, for example, I say dumb people cannot be good actors. So I'm not making value judgment on people, but it's just a very when I say dumb, it's like people who are not interested in the human condition. They cannot become good actors because that means you are unable to understand other humans. An actor who cannot understand other people cannot become a great actor. So uh, mm, your art does come from the kind of person that you are, but what we read about people is usually a version. So how much do we take that on face value is obviously something that you do on, I mean, you figure out on your own, because everything you read on Wikipedia is also not true, but it might also give you a very interesting insight in somebody's life. I was watching what was Daniel Day-Lewis's last film, Phantom Thread. And the only reason I could understand why he quit acting, while I was watching the film, I realized why he quit acting. But that was also because I read something on Wikipedia which connected with that scene. And I could say, oh, now I understand why he's quit acting. So I'm not saying it's a wrong this thing, but I'm saying just don't, have blind faith in it, or just don't follow it too much. That's all. I hope I made sense.
Yeah.
No, but to be honest, from my perspective at least, I find it sometimes very difficult. I mean, to not judge a person for the life they have led.
Correct.
Some of them are not good people, and what they have done might be great, but they have not been good people.
It's actually very easy to judge people, right? That's the most easiest thing that we can do. And it's also not, it's not a negative thing to judge people, because what I'm trying to say is it's ingrained in us. We judge people all the time. But uh, uh, the question is, how much does this judgment affect the way you give the other person a chance? Because judging people is, you can't just help it, it's there. Like I do it all the time. Though if I had to write something about me, I would say I'm a non-judgmental person. But I'm pretty sure I judge people all the time. That's one of the dichotomies of the human condition. But it's very important to be, at least you have to, it's not easy actually to be non-judgmental. I think you have to invest in your personality to be non-judgmental. It's a difficult thing to do, because the most difficult thing I find in life is to unlearn. Suddenly we've become like a very philosophical discussion, right? I think we forgot about poetry.
No, Baba, no. Actually, it is part of. Actually,
What
I
did
just
you? There is one thing that absolutely I loved about the film was its shot taking. And by shot taking, I mean none of the images stayed with me. I did not love any of the image in the film. It did not affect me actually. Um, but what I found really interesting was, most of the times the shot starts with the periphery of the characters. The shots do not usually start with the characters, which probably is also his way of showing, not showing, but we have this tendency of not observing things around us, and poetry actually comes from that minute observation of things. And I found that style of shot taking quite innovative. Usually you do not uh, usually you cut to the chase. Even in a slow film you would cut to the chase. And in this film I found that very, very interesting, because I did not love any of the images. I have to be very frank. I was like, none of this image worked with me. Then there are no images that stay with me. But this kind of shot taking was very impressive, very, very impressive.
Yeah, actually, in the beginning, I mentioned the same, not the same thing, that I really didn't like the camera movement. I
Okay,
don't know why it disturbs my, what to say, watch. Lot of movement of camera.
is
I don't
this
know, but I
is
didn't like.
this for all films, or was this for this film?
I don't know, but there is one film recently. Yesterday, I saw the portrait of Lady on the Fire. So I was in that inertia of stable camera. It may be due to that, but usually I don't. Not usually, but some films like action films, camera movement is for me justifiable. But here I felt it was unnecessary and it was bothering my view.
When you say camera movement was unnecessary, right? I mean, I don't agree with you for this film, but it's
Mhm.
true for so many films. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
agree
whether
that one for
have
action
you
movies.
have you ever, no, not even for action films. I mean, you
Mhm.
need to move the camera. What I'm saying is, what action films do is just they move the camera because they just want to make it more dynamic. But dynamism is much more than moving the camera. Uh,
Moving means shaky camera. Sorry, if I have to put it properly.
so there is a film called Angamali Diary. It's a Malayalam film, and this camera,
Angamali Diaries.
yeah, this is a camera movement is relentless, but it feeds into the kinetic energy that the film wants to create. So there is a style over there, but usually, where as you rightly said, I mean, camera just moves around. It doesn't really make any sense. So I would, but picking up from what you said, right, like whether the camera should move or not, I don't really did not really bother me in this film. But I'm also a proponent of camera should not move if there is no need. There's a filmmaker called Yasujiro Ozu. I don't know whether you've seen his films. I really want that we show his films in one of the curations. Most one of the most important filmmakers ever. So he made a lot of films. At the end of his life, he made 6 color films, and he moved his camera only once. In those 6 color films, he moved the camera just once. And the guy who and he only used one lens. That's it. He never used any other magnification. So somebody asked him, so why do you only use this lens and why don't you move the camera? He said, I will move the camera if there is a need to move the camera. So you watch his films. If you feel that he needed to move the camera at any point in any of his films where he did not move the camera, I would be very surprised. He had crystallized, as I said, his vision. He could see. He's crystallized it so very well. He did not move his camera at all. So, camera movement is great filmmakers know how to move the camera, and you guys should watch Ozu. There is like a master class in where how moving of camera is not everything. You can say whatever you want if you know how to say it. It's actually very interesting how Ozu did things.
I'm actually a little bit very jealous because because I don't know. I mean, I understand that it's a film, but maybe Japanese houses do really look like that. That chaotic, Each of us, there's so many things going on inside the frame.
Very interesting observation because most of his films happened inside Japanese houses, Ozu's films, and so his shots were called Tatami Shots. So basically, it feels like somebody. All his shots they were static, and they all were low angle shots. Every shot was low angle. Every shot. So basically, it is said that this is the point of view of a person who's sitting on a tatami, those Japanese mats. So it's uh, quite fascinating how he was able to do all these things. I think, but it's a great observation that Japanese houses maybe lend themselves to.
Or yeah, maybe it's just his vision. Maybe
No, it is his vision because Japanese
it's a construct of his mind.
households are generally chaotic. I wouldn't say Japanese households are chaotic, but it's a good observation because most of his films happened inside. Uh, they were indoor films, most of them. He did not shoot too much outdoor. He was a real control freak. So that used to happen. I think I personally was quite hypnotized by his lack of movement, and it took me a long time to come out of it to fall in love with moving camera again.
Um, Give me 1 minute. I'll be back.
Yeah, Samartha, are you there or are you just there?
Yeah, I'm here.
No, you've not said anything, so I was wondering whether you are.
No, no, I have been the. You remember I had the pattern of being the 50% guy. Today I'm 100%. I didn't
Ah,
see the movie yet.
But
So
I
actually,
would highly recommend this movie, man. It
I'm
really
definitely going to check it out. What happened is I had plans of watching it in the morning, and then I had to go to work in the morning. Something urgent came up, and I only returned around 6. I started coming back, so
no.
it was
I
kind
think
of
take your time, but do
yeah.
watch this film. This one and because this one and last week's Neruda was something which Neruda to me and me I was very bullish that we need to have Neruda. There was no argument also, but
I'm assuming it's about Pablo Neruda.
it is about Pablo Neruda. It helps.
Okay, okay, cool.
It helps if you see all the directors' film one after the other. It would be better that way. But even if you don't, because it just smashes the template of how a biopic should be made.
Yeah.
Quite
No, Neruda and poetry are my next, like what do you say, on the list,
you
without a
should.
doubt.
And I think everyone is excited about watching Thousand Cuts because the protagonist won the Nobel Peace Prize. I think we did a good job of.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I think it was a great coincidence, and it's an important film to watch. By the way, it's a very important film to watch. I was lucky that I discovered that film. It was quite a pleasant surprise that the film won, that she won the Nobel Prize and richly deserved one. And we've included the film in the curation. So I'm excited to. I hope a lot more turn up for that film.
Yeah.
Which film? I just joined up now.
Uh, Thousand Cuts. The protagonist won the Nobel Peace
Yeah,
Prize.
yeah. I just found out. It's
That's a
pretty
documentary.
exciting.
Because it's very uncanny the resemblance it has with India. You know, the things that are happening here. It's quite strange how things are happening like this all over the world. The moment I realized that this film is going to work was when they also had a character like Kangna Ranaut. And I was like, my God, this is too much. It's like this is just too much, and that's why I did not push for it, but I think it was a very natural selection to have this film for the curation. It's an important film to watch, which is validated by the fact that she won the Nobel Peace Prize. Do we have anything else to talk about the film? I think we discussed. I don't know what you guys discussed before I came in. So
Nothing much. You just talk first impression, a little bit about what we thought the themes.
what Kritik, we were remember we were talking about the cyclic aspect of Pyasa. There is a couple of things happening here also. They play badminton twice. The first time, both the times he leaves her, but under different circumstances. I found that,
I was thinking on and on about cyclic thing. Maybe cyclic was not the right word. I was trying to describe that feeling. Maybe I for some reason, parallel came to my mind.
okay.
Like, what do you think about that? Just
Uh,
getting this thing.
no, it's a good. I actually cyclic also doesn't. I don't
Because
feel that it's
it's
the
the
right
same
word,
situation, but
but
there's
parallel
contrast.
also. I don't know whether both of them are the right words, frankly. But yeah, why not? Like we probably could think about one more thing that happens is the girl. We see the girl twice. First in the beginning and then at the end. First time we see her body floating in the water, and that's also twice that we see that body of water. I think it's also showed once more, but first time we see her back and the next time we see her face. So I also found that quite interesting.
I think I've not watched that many South Korean movies, but it's like again the last shot. They just look into the camera like that. That's pretty great. Like
So you're
memories
saying
were.
that happens regularly in South Korean films?
No,
Is
no,
that
no. I have not seen many, so that immediately reminded me of memories of murder. I don't know how common this is in South Korea.
I totally forgot. Yes, very true. And so, Memories of Murder is actually, when the director says it's a movie about faces. He said, I wanted to make a movie about faces. So, if you see, there a lot of time, the camera just is there on their face trying to figure out what they're thinking. But that's a good observation, man. Like, So it's right that both the films end on. Though this film does not end on faces, but that's like the second last shot.
And then
But
it ends in the river, right?
and
Yeah,
both
yeah.
both films are about some sort of sexual assault.
I do see some people criticize the South Korean, movement or new wave for being too obsessed with sexual assault and serial killers.
Probably might be. I think they are just. I think they're just trying to be. I don't know what they're trying to be, frankly, but they seem to be pushing these buttons on purpose because I guess the audience has accepted it and it's become a norm now. And I don't really have an answer to that. That's actually a good observation.
It's not my observation.
They seem
I
to.
just I just read it somewhere and I was just parroting it.
It is there, but also to be fair to them,
They are
they
making great movies, yeah.
no. Actually, if you look at the kind of work that they do, these films get easy attention, right? That's the reason why uh, probably somebody made that assumption about South Korean films. But you look at a movie like Parasite, it's actually not about gore, blood. It's not. It's actually red comes in at the fag end of that film. So they are doing all kinds of films. They are making all kinds of films, and they are making great films in every genre. Like they make great romantic films. They make uh, obviously they are making great action thrillers. I think there is a movie that I saw recently which I had so much fun. Just let me give you the title of that film. I can't remember it. These beasts clawing at straws. I would really recommend. Like this is a lot of fun, but again, it's like a film which it's not saying anything. It has everything that you were talking about, but it's also superbly done. Like
I think I'm definitely don't think it's bad or anything, but it's a surface level thing again, surface level observation. But it's kind of interesting to see how broad it has become.
it's even the new show that has become a phenomenon. Squid
Uh,
Games.
yeah,
That's also like a lot of blood, not lot actually, but no, there is, yeah. It's a lot of blood and gore, but very well done. As in, the thing is, it's very important to do the basics right, and then everything else follows. They do get their basics spot on. There is a
um,
like
by the way,
technically good
hmm.
films.
By the way, Vishal, I'm not trying to end the conversation or anything, but since we have done with the thing, I think we can, with the film at
Yeah.
least, we can end the live stream or something.
Yes, I think we should end the live stream. I think there is.
I think if you can contact Vivek came earlier and he said you can contact him once we're done.
How do we?
Shall I do it on the regular group or
You did
I'm
it
not
last
sure
time
if he's in
around,
the group.
right? You did it last time around. I
No, I
remember
did not do it.
you did it on Pyasa. I remember.
No, I think this guy. I don't have the password for the YouTube channel. I think.
Okay, it was only us.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I can end live stream here itself. Yes, yes. So more actions.